Hola, it's your favorite Dominican here. You know the deal. I'm here to speak to you from an informed, honest place that always gets me into the crosshairs of haters, right? Let me put this a little, there you go. Of the system, of people, who pretend to be your heroes, but they're, you know how they are. You know how it is. A bunch of vultures out there. I wanted oh man, there's so much I want to talk on, right? That I want to speak on. And I think one of the things that I've been thinking about lately, as of late, besides a million other things, right, is focusing also on man, that sounds like a platitude, man. And we're sick of those. It's like I'm always looking at people. It's like, do you have an original thought in your life? And I'm sure, hey, the things that I've said, they've been said before too. But at least apply it to the new world, right? Apply it to what's happening right now. Apply it to your area of expertise, or whatever. That's something that it's also going to be informative, right? And people can use it in their rhetoric, in their frameworks. But it's whatever, man. So I wanted to get into seeing the big picture, right, in terms of initiatives, right, in terms of how do we move things forward, how do we change the world for the better for us, materially for the better for us, right, which is also going to help us spiritually, mentally, and physically. And one of the things that I see, right, is that for the most part, grants, for instance, right, let's go into grants and let's go into initiatives, and who gets it, who gets those grants, right? And why? What's the reason why? And I don't want people to take this as that I'm trying to discredit their work, or that, I'm dismissing the importance of local work, right? Working within your community, being present, or doing things that are within your vicinity, within your proximity, which is important as well. But for the most part, that's what we get, right? For the most part, that's what we get, and we get a pittance. The grants that we get is a pittance, right? Even in the big ones that we get, right? It's in a way that it's not going to change systems, right? It looks good on paper. It looks good to us. So these folks, that can say, we're helping this person here. They've been doing this for so and so years, right? They have a little community garden, which is important for our communities, right? We'll give them 50, 100K, which is not even for New York, right? Especially how you gonna live off of that, right? You just gonna volunteer for your own for your own work, and you're working full time to do something, right? And it shows, it's known, right, that the folks that are getting funded, they are not gonna change the root of their issues, right? They're not gonna change it, and it's to no fault of their own, and maybe they don't know, and sometimes that's all they could do too, right? Because one, you're not raising any eyebrows, you're not challenging the systems that are making it so you have to do those things, right? And that's how it is. That's how it is. And it reminds me, I've gotten a couple of grants, by the way. I've gotten a couple of grants, not massively. Well, some have been, I guess, in you could consider, 15, 20K a couple of years ago, 4 or 5K, right? And it's really, really, really difficult. It's really, really competitive to get those grants, right? But I had to become small. I had to come in a way, and I get it, right? I get it. You have to, you have to apply to those things. You have to be professional, of course. Which then we're going heading into respectability politics, right? We have to be connected to someone that's connected with them. It has to be reviewed most likely by your peers, whatever that means. And that means usually, right, safe people that the system has chosen already to represent our communities. So it's a lose-lose already for us, right? It's a lose-lose. Whoever picks you as someone that, let's get people from this field that have been chosen by the system, because you have to be in the system. And that's the issue with me, right? That's the issue with me. If I had been working in a system that it's greenlit, right, by the powers that be, by white supremacy, by sexism. That's how it is. That's how it is. If I had been in one of those systems, right, if I had been working for a mainstream paper, then they are going to consider me for those words, right? They're going to consider me for those things. But, you know, they're not looking for people like me. You know, they're looking for people who are from within our communities that are not going to make people uncomfortable. You know, they're not going to make people say, "Oh my God," you know. Even though I'm in the business, like I said, I work with people. I work with entities, right, to make them better, to make us all better. I'm not here to destroy. And I think people assume when you say, you know, you gotta destroy all these systems, which we should, right? Because it's not working for all of us, only for a select few. People assume that they're also gonna be taken out, right? And they're not gonna have a living. They're not gonna, you know. But the whole point of that is, you know, recasting new systems, right? That are gonna be beneficial for all of us, right? And that includes those people as well. That unfortunately that includes the oppressors. But they're no longer going to be oppressors, right? And those oppressors are the ones that are funding, you know, because they get those tax breaks, those entities that give us grants, right? So what I get into is that we have to also think of the big picture in terms of being national advocates, right? Not just local, right? Not just local, but something. And I've written, for the most part, my work has been, you know, writing about our communities at a national level, right? And I use examples of locals, of what's happening locally, you know, so people to understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, when you work at a national level, you are trying to get to the root of the problem and trying to fix it. And I see it, for the most part, the things that I've seen is that there's so much focus on local. It's just like putting out little fires everywhere, right? And never getting to what's igniting those fires, right? Never getting to it. And to me, that's a huge issue. I wouldn't say through our own. Some people do know this. Some people do know this. There are people who are advocating at a national level for us, right? And some people who are genuine about it. A lot of people aren't. They just want access to power and money and resources. But there are people with a heart, right? And have the courage, right? They have the courage, right, to go and bat out there for us and change industries, change systems in a way that is beneficial for us, not DEI, which is important in itself, right? I have my issues with it. Not these programs, right? In let's say for the media, and I'm gonna give you an example of it, and I completely agree with her in that sense. Ava DuVernay, she does not like those programs, right? Those like writing programs, directors programs at all these networks, right? They have these writing programs for marginalized people, right? And they're also looking for a certain type of person, right? These programs are created, right, to make it seem to us, right, that they are doing something for our communities, right? And for the most part, how many people have you seen that have, you know, disrupted industries? How many people have you seen from those programs that have gone to the top of their industries? And they're put through the ringer. They're put through their process once they get in there, right? They get in the writer's room. They are treated as charity cases. They don't even like, you know, the other writers. Although those other writers, you know, oh, you got to throw a hand out. It was a charity, you know. Even though those other writers got in there because of white affirmative action, they don't like to talk about that because they had the connections. They had a friend. It wasn't through talent. And that's I'm going to head into there too. And I know I'm making it longer than it is. I remember when Twitter Voices, you know, I was one of the Latino voices on Twitter, right? One of the leadership within our community there. And you know, and shout out to the X, you know, culture team at Twitter. And they would invite me once in a while to these talks, right? And it's crazy how, man, it's hard for me to say this because it might seem that I'm trying to get at certain people in our community, but sometimes we got to do that. Sometimes we got to do that when it comes to rhetoric because it hurts us, right? Like right now at this instance, and I'm gonna go there right now, the systems are using black women as the face of imperialism, and it's ugly. They're using it, you know, and I've seen it on Twitter. You've seen it on TikTok. That's why they want to ban it. You know, there are black women who are upset about this. They're very angry about it because they're using the face of the police force, right? And that is killing their own people. They're using them. They're using, right, look at the mayor from New York. I mean, you know, I laugh at this because I'm on the mentality of Malcolm X. It's so ridiculous, so malicious, so evil and sinister that they use our own people to get at us, man. And it's ugly. That's how they get us, man. They get us with identity. They get us with identity so we can work on our own demise. It's nasty work. Anyway, I'm deviating from the point, and the point is that yeah, they have all these folks here that might look like you, but you know they're not gonna do something that's gonna be beneficial for all of us. It's just gonna look pretty. So for this talk, right, we had this talk about Hollywood and all of that, right? And I we were talking about why they always pick the wrong people from our communities to star in these films and in these shows. Not all the time, right? Of course. And even when they say anti-black things, when they say, you know, anti-immigrant, anti-migrant, and anti, you know, so many have said anti-Mexican things, and you keep wondering, why do these people keep getting work, right? Because first of all, white America doesn't care. They don't care, but they do care that you're always on their side. And one of the people that I've seen, one of those famous celebrities, is that they've said they've never had racism happen to them within the white community, but it's happening to them within our own community. So it's also, we are to blame for our condition, right? We are the evil ones. There's something wrong with us. We are the savages, right? We are the savages. And you see that all the time. It's like when you punch down on your people, white America loves the shit out of that. They love that. They love that. And that's why I get it from certain people who don't want us to criticize our own people publicly, right? But at the end of the day, I see that as you going into the other route of you know, free speech. You are you know, preventing us from having discussions that should be had publicly, even if other people are seeing it. Anyway, so I remember that people were saying, you know, why did this person say this famous person, and how come they're still getting work? And I said, you know, it's just because Hollywood, you know, somebody gets famous and that's who they stick to. That's who they stick to. They don't deplatform them as long as you're not saying something that goes against the system, right? And someone said to me, right, a Latina interrupted and said, like, you know, I work in Hollywood, you know, sort of like saying, like, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? And I've worked in the space for like 15 years, right? And they said to me, they keep picking these actors that say these things because they already have a name, right? And there's leverage, there's equity with that name that they can promote their films or their shows, and people are going to see it, so they don't have to put a lot of money in there. Which is true, right? It's true in a way, right? But it's also, you're thinking about the negativity of it. Like, if you make a show or a movie or something like that the black and brown community doesn't like, we make and break all these shows, just so you know. We make and break musicians. We are the ones that are doing it. We are the ones that are doing it. You know? Anyway, so I interrupted because she kept doing that with me every time we had a talk, right? Like, making me seem smaller, like I didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm like, okay, you worked in the media in that space, but so do I. And I'm in the trenches of studies, right? I'm in the trenches of studies, and I know what's happening, right? Because people don't like to read studies because they're boring, right? That's the way that are intentionally written like that. Anyway, so I said, which is something I said, came to me, okay, so if we have few Latino actors, right? And they are the ones that are getting picked, even when they say things that are hurtful for us. I said, because they need them, right? They don't have to be promoted as aggressively as anybody else. They don't like. So let me ask you, why does Netflix and all these streaming platforms, even for instance like James Cameron when he did Avatar, why are they picking, you know, where is this well of unknown white actors that they're putting so much money behind all the time? How come that doesn't apply to us? Why do we all have to be, you know, completely like huge? Why do you have to be famous all the time just to get a break? right? Where is this? How come that does not apply to them and it has to be applied to us? Come on, man. And I seemed aggressive at that moment, right? Because it gets old, right? Because even our own people use whatever they think they know, against our own communities. I don't care if you worked in Hollywood for 50 years. There's people that have been there for so long and they don't know shit. They don't know shit about human behavior. They don't know shit about numbers. They don't know shit about what's happening, what's really happening, And I'll give you an example in the music industry too. And this got me, I was like, I wanted to say something, but I'm at work. I gotta stay quiet, cause then it's gonna get uncomfortable, especially when at work, and especially if you're behind the camera. You want your subjects to be as comfortable as possible. It had to do with music, and in the music industry, and especially the Spanish speaking world, right? For the most part, the majority of people that are singing black music, they're white. They are white, right? And I remember this cat, right? This big time producer was saying that the reason why Dominicans lost the merengue at the time, because we were, of course, merengue is ours, right? And Haitian, it's like a fusion of Haitian music, that we lost merengue because we went into very, that dembow mambo type of thing that wasn't romantic, that it was just a game, that it was comical, right? Which is still happening today, even with a lot of celebrities too that are making music, and you're like, this guy is funny, we want to watch it, or she's funny, but it's a lie when they say that Dominicans, they were taking over, right, in the merengue field during the 90s. There was a lot of Puerto Rican bands that got hot and they got huge, a lot more than Dominicans, right? It's because they're light skinned and they're white. That's just the facts, man. That's just the facts. And because the labels at the time saw that it's more, you make more money like that. It happened with Iggy and T.I. He was like, I'm gonna make more money here, and it's happening with producers, with Usher and what's his name, Justin Bieber. It happened with Eminem, right? Even although I have a lot more respect and for Eminem and his art, even though a lot of people don't like him, and then now he's like, oh, he's a bad. I think he's a great lyricist. But do you see my point? Is that being in rooms, all these rooms for me, and I'm deviating again, but there's a point to it, right? When you're in a room and people say, like they say Obama, who's the smartest guy in the room? If I'm there with you, it's gonna be rough for you. It's gonna be rough for you, even though I might be doing I might be working there, or I might be doing something that I'm not in the front stage of that event or in that room, right? Because I'm gonna see things that a lot of people don't see, right? Because we're social animals, right? And a lot of things our emotional side takes over from our critical side, right? So yeah, for me, wow, this went everywhere. This went everywhere, but there's a point in there, there's an overall point, the umbrella of, we have to find, right? And I'm not just speaking about me, right? Because I know I'm a force, I know who I am, I know what I am, and I know my skills, right? We all have our different skills, but we have to promote people, right? We have to platform people that know what they're talking about, and I just know what they're talking about, that they are genuine about it, right? That they're not vultures, that they're not looking to pull the fast one on us, because it's happened so many times, of people pretending, using our identities to get a position of power, trying to represent us, and at the end of the day, once they are in power, they use it against us, right? That happens all the time, and that happens with people. I wouldn't say that they're doing it locally. They're doing it locally, but I don't see, if we don't tackle at the national level, if we don't tackle things at the root of it, then things are not going to change. We're going to be perpetually asking for handouts. And one of the things that I've done, my advocacy has always been, and also, I'm not against people getting, like UBI, for instance. I'm not against people getting help. I think people who are in need should be getting help, right? But that has been used against us, right? Even by our own people who don't know any better. But I believe that and I've written about this before, even in the media world. I don't want your grants, right? I want your investment. You know, I want you to treat me how you're treating these white guys, how you're treating all these folks, even the mediocre ones that have never done anything, have no damn experience with anything. I want to be treated with the same thing. Give me 100, give me a quarter million, give me $1 million to make a movie. You know, give me without your crazy rules that you have in there, because even in that field, for instance, for the most part, the people that get funded for our work, right, they don't create hits, they don't create things that make a return, because they have confined us, they've boxed us, even in the creative way, only to make content, right, in the arts and that is our stories, whatever that means, right? It has to be something that you have to attach Latino to it, right? And it has to look a certain way. You have to be frying beans. You have to have a Bustelo cup somewhere. You have to have, and they're like, oh, that's authentic. And they're like, come on, man, that's not for not everyone is like that, right? And why mainly focus on that for us, right? So that's the type of things that get funded, right? Because they think this is authentic work. And then it flops, right? It flops. The majority of them flops. Once in a while you get a hit, but not because of those elements. But the majority of them flop, and they keep, I've been doing this for like 20 years, and I've seen it all the time. It's the same Tres Gatos, the same people, they get that money, like, God damn, that's cool. I hope they do something cool with it, right? And never translate into an influx of our people going into certain industries, and never translate into a landslide of investment. Because even for me, right, if I'm a white executive, I'm going to be on their shoes, right? And somebody comes up to me and says, hey, the Latino consumer is, over-indexed at the box office. And then, right, because they come with all these, all the data. We over-index at the box office, we go on this and this and that, and this is the film that I got for you. And they usually go for like a celebrity, that somebody is already famous, an actor, for instance, which, might not even know about social, cultural, social political issues, and even in the world of film, of what's working or not. And they're making their film, and and they usually hire a white writer. For the most part, you gotta see those films. The majority of those films have been written by a white writer, and then they flop, right? And then they blame our communities. They blame us instead of saying, you know what, I made a product, it was a bad product, or I love my product, other people didn't like it. Okay, that's it. You gotta move forward, dust yourself off, and keep going. They blame our communities for not supporting, right? Which is trash. I've written about that too. And if I'm a white executive, I gave you $5 million and your movie flopped, and they're like, damn, that was a bad investment. Now my boss is gonna, say I'm not pulling through, right? I'm not doing my job. And then another Latino comes up and hits me up 5 years down the line, because it's a cycle of 5 years, and tells me, we're doing this and this and that, can you give us 5 or 10? I'm not gonna give you the money, because I've been there before. It's a bad business investment. It's a bad investment. So then now we're confined now to programs, right? We're confined to being, carrying water for people, and it's been like that forever, man. And things gotta change. We gotta change. And how is that gonna change? When we vocalize, and when you have people like me talking about that, right? When you have people like me, but what happens is to people like me, the system penalizes them, and our own people in power penalize them, except for a few. And that's how we're gonna make a difference, right? Looking at the major, big picture, right? And taking action that we know that is gonna work. Not pulling the same stunts as before, not focusing on getting the same resources from the same people that have proven to be bad for us, and look at what's happening now. They lost the game. They lost that of DEI, for instance. They lost the game, because now they know that for the majority of people, we lost the discourse, the rhetoric game, and especially in social media, right? The majority of people don't want to hear about diversity, even for women. The majority don't want to hear anything about that, right? And even our own people, you hear it, and I see it. I've read I read the comments of people when when they're talking about a film, in the media or a show or something about music. This woke that, you know, from a lot of our people. So why would they invest in something that they had to do before because they were forced to do it before because our people, some of our people, and they thought that our communities were going to be down with their programs and their initiatives, and a lot of our people aren't. I'm not even involved in it for it unless they change it, right? Because I think the framework is great, but the execution is just terrible. And why? Because of the people that you're picking, and those people are not coming from our communities. The other ones picking them. If we don't pick our champions, man, they're not gonna win anything for us.